Another interesting thing is Google. I wonder why Google is so interested in Nigeria. Do you wonder with me? Well, we'll find out this morning with Mr. Olumide Balogun. Mr. Olumide Balogun is the country director for West Africa, Google. You want to search anything, you go to Google. Hi, Olumide, good morning.
Thank you, good morning. Thanks for having me.
You must be very proud to be working in Google, because when people want to search for things, now people hardly even use the word search. They say, I want to Google it. I'm sure you feel proud.
I think what I feel is excited. I think privileged to work for a company that we really think about how technology affects the lives of people all over the world. And I think for us in Africa, it's really about how we use technology for the benefit of driving economic opportunity for our users, our businesses, and our partners. And I'd say more than proud, I feel excited to work in this space.
Yeah, and it's good to have you as a Nigerian representing West Africa. You know, we Nigerians are proud. We are the most populated. We should have that say. But we see Google very active in Nigeria. Oh, Google is doing this project, is doing that. They're investing this amount and all of that. Why so much interest?
I think it starts really from, we're a few months off our 26 years we've been in, Google has been as a company, and it's never been more relevant. Our founding mission has been to organize the world's information, and we want to make the information universally accessible and useful. And that just means, how do we help that information be available everywhere to everyone? And that includes African users. And I'm sure you'll agree with me with the teeming amount of youth population that we have here on the continent, who are very creative, and also because we see that technology could play a very interesting role in terms of driving economic opportunity, as well as just driving our GDP growth in its totality. So we are really looking about how we drive digital transformation here on the continent, and in Nigeria more specifically. And that's really what we've been investing in over the last few years.
And that's why you started the AI training for journalists. Even though I didn't get to be there, I see that you focus on the female journalists, but sometimes when we talk about AI seriously in Nigeria, personally, I ask myself, is this a priority at this time? Just like we talk about climate change. Yeah, we see the negative impact, but we know that Nigeria is not a major contributor to that, and so we ask ourselves, are we done with the basics? We're talking of AI. Are we done with 3G? Are we done with 4G? As a journalist, how equipped, our individuals, and now you want to train journalists on AI. Won't you just be one training among the many?
It's an excellent question, and it's a question that I get all the time. And thanks for the opportunity to answer this here on channels, because I think that when you look at technology and the impact that technology could have, it could not only help us solve problems that we have today, but it could also help us leapfrog potential problems that we may see in the future. And we are excited about the transformative power of AI. We say that it's most possibly the most interesting thing that humanity is working on at this point in time. And that is why we've, are really looking at how we invest into training, driving skill set acquisition for Africans here on the continent and in Nigeria to acquire the skills that's required and that's necessary. And that's from everywhere from, I think people who are just everyday people and everyday users, to journalists, to business people, to really get the skills that's required. Because human capital will be key. I think in this knowledge economy. And we do not want to just be consumers of the technology. We think that we can be producers of the technology as well. And that is how we see it.
So interesting. And we know that we have a lot of brilliant minds in Nigeria, but and ease of doing business, the environment, policy, infrastructure, all of those just pop up, to kind of discourage the minds, but tell us what you're doing to actually actualize some of these ideas. I'm sure you sit down with your friends and you hear a lot of very good innovations. They say Africa to save the world, or Africa to solve Africans' problem before we solve, but we don't really see it coming to pass because of some of those hindrances.
If you look at some research that we've done in combination with Alpha Beta, an economic strategy firm, we see that technology could play a very critical role in driving economic growth. And one of the things we see is there are 4 areas that are critical. So number 1 is human capital. Number 2 is physical capital. Number 3 is just how competitive the environment is. And number 4 is technology. And you'd see that across 2 of these areas, we want to be able to, drive transformation and also contribute to the development of the human capital on the ground. We see that when this happens, people can take and solve problems within their local communities. And that's what you see, about the work that we've done. We launched recently, I think in partnership with the Kaduna State government, AI video series in Hausa, which is really to take AI concepts, complex concepts, break it down, locally relevant context, and really train women and girls to help get the skills so that they can solve everyday problems within their local community. Give us an example of the
skills, that you...
So everything from introduction to AI, computer vision, natural language processing, even introduction to self-driving cars. Those are things that we are currently, and we've trained already 3,400 girls on. And this is part of a larger, by the way, human capital development initiative that we're doing. We launched last year a 1.2 billion naira grant to Mind the Gap, a youth-focused organization to help train really youth and women, across all of the states in Nigeria with digital skills that they require to solve problems in their communities today. And we're already seeing very incredible stories. For example, I can talk of Adiza, a mother of 5, who's already learned the data analysis skills and is solving and is working for UK-based Omiva Consulting right from here in Nigeria. She's already working a remote job. And we see that this also supports the government's agenda to drive 1 million digital jobs by 2030.
Very, very interesting. And I'm glad you gave that example because, I think people relate more when you have examples, things, they can see and touch. And we have a lot of businesses, small businesses. As we know, small businesses are the driving force of any economy everywhere, Tell us how you're working with small businesses to turn ideas to businesses that actually work.
We think small businesses are the lifeblood of any economy. We were a small business ourselves, as I said, just 25 years ago. And when you think about the contribution to GDP, I think it's something like 47% contribution to GDP. 85% of the workforce is actually employed by small businesses, and 96% of the businesses in Nigeria today are small businesses. So we think small businesses are really critical, and they will require technical and technological skills to help drive growth and to help advance, their cause. And some of the work we've done over the last few years is something we call the Google Hustle Academy, for example, where, I think today we've trained 4,000 small businesses, providing them with digital-ready skills to help really think about how they solution and how they evolve their business model and how they evolve their execution to help reach a larger number of customers. I think the other thing is just how we help also with funding. I talked about human capital as being key. I talked about physical capital is incredibly important, and that's something that you agree with me. It's not just easy to come by. We have done a lot of work in the last few years to give grants to small businesses to help them really get the leg up, and accelerate their business growth.
What areas? Is it just ICT?
No. As a matter of fact, we do across the board. We feel like IT is the lifeblood of business. IT essentially transforms every type of business that you look at. So everything from agric to fashion to food. We've really done trainings, as I said, with 4,000 SMBs. As a matter of fact, we have a cohort open right now, for the new cohort of small businesses that we want to train. So it really covers a multiplicity of disciplines.
But tell me, the reality of Nigeria is multinationals. A lot of multinationals are leaving the country at this time because the environment is not very friendly to doing business. Better to even import than if you want to manufacture here because you import every component and all of. How's that affecting your plans as Google in the country?
I think the way that we see it is it's a global challenge. I think globally we do see that there's a shift kind of like in the economics. There's a shift in purchasing power. And we're really here for the long term. As we are in many emerging countries in the world that are a little bit ahead of where we are as an African continent or as Nigeria as a country. And what we do is we're able to take learnings from how we've managed, I think, tepid and difficult periods and apply them back home here. And for us, it's really about how do we invest and how do we make the ecosystem competitive. Who would have thought many years ago that you'd have 6 unicorns, I think is what we have right now, here in Nigeria. And we really believe and have the confidence that we will see many more as long as we're able to stick to it and continue to invest and support businesses to grow with the power of technology.
And Google is going nowhere.
No, we're not going anywhere. We're not going anywhere.
I think Microsoft actually said something like that, but now I think they are building something in Ghana, leaving Nigeria, and things like that, you know, and people complain of policy inconsistency, and, you know, and all of that. Of course, the drop in the value of the Naira, which is affecting everybody, even domestic companies, you know. So how do you cope with all of this to sustain your plans and keep on keeping on in the country?
I think it's a great question. You know, a lot of businesses are having to manage, you know, and it's very difficult to thrive during this time. But the way we really see it is we take a long, you know, approach. We really take a long approach and look at what are the things essentially that we should be doing now. What are the things that we can maybe delay till another time when potentially the economy is a little bit more stable. And for us, I think that at the end of the day, we have to invest and we have to accelerate out of where we are now. And that's really about how we develop the ecosystem. And we think AI and technology at large could play a really important role in that.
Okay, so I'll hold you to your words. If I hear Google is leaving Nigeria, I'll call your number.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Olumide, for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, now let's take a break. When we come back, we'll head to the market right here on Business Morning on Sunrise Daily.